Yo, what's going on, guys? It's Gail here, back again for more Gacha Talks with the homie Gacha Talks himself.
Yeah, it's a pleasure to be here, Gail. Thanks so much for having me. Today we are going to be talking about the new Demon Slayer Gacha game that's going to be coming out in 2021. We're going to be talking about some of the things that we want to see in it, things that we don't want to see in it, and what we know so far.
Well, at this point, it is probably going to be 2021, even though the original date was 2020. And that's a bit more what we're going to talk about, of course, as well, is like, why isn't it coming out in 2020, even though the original date was 2020? But it's seemingly likelier that we're going to get it in 2021. So, first and foremost, what's Demon Slayer's Gacha? When was it announced? And all that jazz. So, Demon Slayer's Gacha was announced alongside its console game back in around February or something around that region, basically. And then we haven't really gotten much since then, pretty much. I mean, we have gotten the V-Jump articles, but they've been character confirmations, basically. So we know that characters such as Tanjiro, Nezuko, Zenitsu, the main cast is coming, Giyu, Shinobu, some of the other demons as well are playable in the game, such as Rui and Ko, the the mother spider, no, not the mother spider, but the mother demon, as well as the spider demon. They're all playable characters, and so we know what's to be expected as well from the game, because we did also get some trailer footage as well, showing a full 3D scale model game, kind of similar to, I would say, not necessarily Bleach Brave Souls. Bleach Brave Souls, yes and no. The similar style, 3D style, but an actual 3D style, not like those chibi models or anything
Yeah,
of that sort.
these are very very nice 3D textures, man. They did a really good job with these models.
Yeah, you guys might see some footage of it on screen. Of course, we don't have much to go off of, unfortunately, but we have seen some footage of it, and you might be able to see it on your screens right now. So the problem is that we've been getting a lot of information in the last couple of months, until September. We haven't gotten any information in the October V jump, nor did we get anything in this month's V jump. So the question is, where is it? We at this point, we were kind of expecting it to be out by now, or I was personally expecting it to be out by now, actually, because I thought it was gonna drop with a movie in Japan, and at the end of October, that was when the movie released. That's what I thought, but nothing, absolutely nothing. We haven't heard a single breath of a word from from the developers or the publishers at all. Like, there's been absolutely zilch on the game. The Twitter is still online, but they haven't tweeted out anything in a hot minute. Um, they hit their pre-registration goal like ages ago. I think they literally hit it within a month, basically. So that was all well and good, but absolutely nothing. Do you think there might be a reason behind it? Gotcha.
Yeah, I mean, given the current circumstances of the world and just everything that's been going on, I mean, we've had so many gotcha games actually shut down in 2020, given how everything's been. They could definitely be having some hiccups trying to actually get the push, or maybe they just think it's not a good time for them to drop it during this time period. And but to cut off all news of it, I think that is pretty poor judgment. They don't want to lose hype, and like people are already talking about it. There's already a bunch of YouTubers trying to cover this, and they kind of just completely eliminated their communication on it. If they wanted to go ahead and push things back, it's fine. I don't think anybody would have, really cared too much. But not hearing anything is a bit strange. So to me, it just feels like something happened over on their end that's holding them back, and they don't want to say what's going on.
No, for sure. And the thing is, the worst part about all of this is that the studio or the developers that are handling it right now are a bit unknown. I feel I don't know much about them personally. Of course, I keep myself well versed, obviously, with developers. Companies like Dina, who are obviously handling Masters, Fire Emblem Heroes, and they did until recently handle AOT Tactics as well. Until that game shut down, and the other two games are on the verge of that. To be honest, let's be real. But and you got Delightworks and stuff like that. We know the publisher is obviously Aniplex. They own basically the rights to Demon Slayer right now, so obviously the publishers will be Aniplex. The studio themselves are pretty unknown in my opinion. I've not heard much about them. They are a subsidiary of Aniplex from what I know. But again, like, it's completely like it's a very big unknown on who they are. So I can understand if it's a completely fresh studio that they had just generated for the game, uh and they don't have the manpower, and as a result, because of the pandemic going on, they had to delay it, which is completely fine. But that goes to say, when do you think it will release then? Do you have any expected release date, or do you think it's gonna, do you have, or do you not know?
If I had to take a guess, no later than summer, but I don't think it's going to come out early 2021, especially since they haven't actually even talked about it. But I
Hmm.
want to say maybe anytime between uh, February to May. I know that's like about like a 3 month time span, but if they keep holding this game back, I mean, it's just gonna keep losing hype. I mean, the manga's already finished, the movie's already out. I think they, like you mentioned, they've missed some good opportunities, especially with the movie. Not having this out by the movie time, I think might hurt its original release. I mean, Demon Slayer is still very huge, but I think they are losing a good time period to drop this unless they know something for next year about Demon Slayer that we don't. That's the only other thing I could think of. Like they know there's going to be some huge Demon Slayer drop in the brand next year, and they're holding it out for that. But again, we don't know. We haven't seen any more leaks. We haven't seen any more news. All we have are these V Jump scans and that the movie's out, and that's it. That's all we know.
Yeah, that's the thing. I think the biggest thing is that we're probably going to be getting a season two. That's pretty much what everybody's suggestions are. Is that we're probably gonna get a season two sometime next year or maybe the year after. But that doesn't change the fact that, I mean, we still don't know anything about that. I personally also think, like, if it's not gonna release in December, I mean that's the only option. If they want to keep track of that 2020 release date, December. That's literally it. Because beyond that, I mean, that's really pushing the tagline of, oh, we're releasing in 2020, the last month of 2020 kind of thing. It would be funny, but hey, oh, we'll take it though.
Hey, that
So
would
I
be
mean,
crazy. In the next 5 days, they just come out of nowhere and say, "Hey, we're actually going to drop it. We're ready."
yeah,
Sorry.
we're ready. Sometime this month you'll see it in like the next few weeks or something.
That's a good point that you just brought. Maybe they think that the game's so close to being finished that they just don't want to say they're pushing it back yet because they think they might have some crazy early release, and they're
Maybe
like confident. Like maybe like the
watch it.
HR guys want
wa-
that.
Watch it release exactly on 31st December,
That
11:59
would be crazy.
p.m. on in Japan, and it'd be like, here you guys go, 2020, we followed it. But no, on a real though, I really hope, if there is problems with the game development and they need to push it back, 100% push it back. We want to, as much as I say I'd rather have a bad game at the start and rather than a good bad game at the end, I'd rather they make sure they still at least iron out the kinks and the chinks in the armor before they publish it and put it out for use and playability for everybody. Um, and then if they have to correct anything, they can correct it as the game progresses. But that's one thing that I was gonna also add on is, like, I hope whatever mistakes they make it early so that they can adjust it later on and improve it, because that's what happens with certain games. Dragalia is a perfect example of having a very poor start but improving drastically to become a solid game overall. I think it's probably one of the best gachas out there for players, for people to play, honestly. Even though it doesn't have a big IP to its name, it's a really solid gacha. um and you see games like other games that have had the reverse, arguably, where the game's good but then it's just gone absolutely downhill ever since launch. Epic 7's another example of that. Very bad decisions in the last couple of in the last year or so, compared to launch, where it was actually probably one of the better gachas out there. So I'd rather it be a Dragalia than an Epic 7, basically. So whatever happens, we'll see. I expect it to be, if they don't release it in December, as I said, probably I'd say the only thing I can think of is probably March to June as well, something like that. I think if anything, gachas love releasing in and around that time. March to like August effectively is like a lovely schedule. You see a lot of anniversaries for a lot of different gachas between that time. So it would be perfect then. Um the only other thing that I would say is, like you mentioned, we've talked about this in multiple videos, and I don't think we've addressed it this time around. But there's another shonen game coming out next year, and that's MHA. So it'll be interesting to see if they decide to drop it right in front of MHA just so that they can nab the sales of that gacha. Because you never know how the competition is with between gachas.
Yeah, no, it's 100%. It's going to be a very. I think 2021 is going to be a crazy time period for gacha games.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly,
Yeah, no, for
My
sure.
Hero coming out's huge. Since Demon Slayer is looking like it's going to come out next year, that's huge. You know, there's going to be a lot more. We also have that one game coming over with the chibi models. You're the one who told me about it. I
The
watched a bunch of.
Konosuba Gacha.
Yes, that's also coming to global,
Yep.
from my understanding. So it's like
Hmm.
next year is going to be a crazy year for Gacha games.
For
Maybe not so
sure.
much for the global market because again, we don't know if Demon Slayer is getting a global release. We don't know if My Hero is even getting a global release. Unfortunately, here's hoping, of course, but yeah, I think 2021 is going to be a big year for gachas. I think once like the world gets a bit more stable and everything's pretty much back to normal, we could expect a lot more. And then in terms of like things I actually would like to see in the Demon Slayer, I want to see good rates.
Yeah,
That's the dream.
I think good rates is obviously something everybody wants.
Please, five
What?
percent at least would be really nice.
Oh, that would be perfect. I think 5% or higher would be like
Oh
absolutely
yes.
lovely.
Because like the thing is about Demon Slayer, like it's not like they have like thousands of characters to use. Like they're gonna be like in a very Grand Cross situation,
Yeah,
where they're gonna have to probably do a lot of collabs and stuff to stay afloat. But like, dude, if they want to like just make everybody happy, just make it 5%, 7%. I don't know. That would be nice.
100%. I think the one thing that they should do as well is, in my opinion, especially because it's a 3D model game, I hope there's a good use of multiplayer. I'm hoping no PvP, fingers crossed. Um, and even if they do have to add PvP, maybe somewhat of like a draft system or like having it so it's an even playing field, maybe something along those lines. Because as you guys know, I think I've mentioned this in so many videos now. I'm not a PvP advocate. I absolutely loathe PvP in Gacha. So if they have to go, I hope they don't go down the co-op route and or the you know sort of like even playing field PvP mode. That would be perfect. Um Outside of that, I think the biggest thing I want is I'm hoping if it's going to be story driven, I hope they tackle some good stories. Like they don't have to be related to the main story. They don't have to necessarily be canon, but something like Danmachi or FGO where they have events and they're not related to the main story. They're completely in their own alternate universe, or they could be prequels to like the original story. We could be taking on demon slayers from ages ago, from years and years ago. That would be cool. It would allow them to access a new roster of characters potentially designed by the author herself, Gotoge Sensei, of course. It would be amazing if they could do that. But yeah, those are my thoughts on that. Personally, I think overall, I think sometime hopefully next year is my expectation again, as I said, for when the game releases. But yeah, no, anything else from your end in terms of the gameplay or events? Are you looking forward to something that you think? Of course, you mentioned the rates, of course, is one thing. But yeah.
Crossovers. I want to see what crossovers they're gonna try doing because at some point they're gonna have to. So like I think, and I'm an advocate for it. I like it when games cross over. So, especially with like how nice these 3D models are, I think this would be like a really cool game, and I'm excited to see the gameplay. It does look from like the screenshots, it does look turn based, which is fine. Like you mentioned, I'm not crazy about the PvP aspect, but they throw it in there. I don't, I usually just skip out on the PvP anyways side of
Yep.
things, but I am pretty excited nonetheless. And yeah, and to everybody watching, let us know what you want from the Demon Slayer game. What rates you want, like the type of banners, gameplays, this stuff like that. Let us know.
Oh no, for sure. I think that's where we're gonna round up. I think that's all our thoughts on the Demon Slayer Gacha. As we said, there's very little information, which is the unfortunate thing. We've got some footage, we've got some images from the gameplay itself. We have the character rosters, of course, and so on and so forth. So we do have a couple of things, but not enough to make a complete and round judgment on the game, unfortunately, just yet. But yeah, like we said, the game is technically originally supposed to release for 2020, but everything's pointing towards potentially a delay to 2021. So we'll see what happens on that front. We will keep you guys posted. Of course, like Gacha said, let us know down in the comments below your expectations from the Demon Slayer Gacha. Are you guys going to play it on launch? Are you going to wait for a global release? Let us know everything. Of course, it's been Gale. It's been Gacha Talks. Leave a like and subscribe. And of course, check out all our socials down below for our Twitter, Twitch, everything regarding 5 9 Gaming. We'll see you guys next time. Hopefully, you guys have a lovely evening. Take care and peace out.
Peace.